Greetings and welcome. I know this is a week late, but I'm not a person who can articulate my thoughts right away. I need time to process information before I really want to discuss something. So I held off a little bit on doing a Brooks Robinson tribute. I wasn't fortunate enough to have watched Robinson play. He retired before I was born. But that doesn't mean you cannot be a fan of someone. I seem to discuss the 1998 home run chase frequently on my channel. But as I get older, I realize more and more the profound effect that season had on my passion for baseball and my collecting. I was 12 years old at the time, and not only was it McGwire versus Sosa, it taught me about Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle, which then led me to learning more and more about the history of baseball. My birthday's in December, so I cannot remember if I received this for my birthday or Christmas. But my parents got me this massive book that year on the greatest baseball players. And I would smuggle the book to school and read it. It was a much better book than any of the books my school district offered. And I remember being captivated by the human vacuum cleaner. What a nickname. But reading those 2 or 3 pages that the book had to offer on each player led me to asking my dad about Brooks Robinson, and him showing me some of his cards he had of him, and then hearing his stories about watching Brooks in the 1970 World Series. And this was before YouTube, so any clips I could find of his outstanding defense I had to watch, which translated to wanting to play defense like Brooks Robinson in my youth baseball league. So my dad would spend hours outside hitting grounders to me. I'm left-handed though, so I could never play third base. I was primarily a first baseman, and I'd play outfield and I'd pitch also, but I always loved playing the field. But I remember there was one game, and we needed 1 out to win, and a grounder was hit in between first and second. And it wasn't anything difficult or hard, but I fielded it cleanly and ran over and tagged first, and we won. It wasn't for a tournament or a championship. It was just a routine game in the July heat. But the assistant coach joked with me and called me the human vacuum cleaner. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And it's still something I remember to this day. That home run chase, though, led me to learning about Maris and Mantle, which led me to Brooks, and then other players that I never had the pleasure to watch, which probably led me to start collecting vintage cards at 13 years old or so. I've never really explained my collecting journey on my channel, but a lot of the sets that I show, some of those were started when I was 13 years old. So when you see some of those cards that are beaten up, it's because they were purchased on a 13-year-old's income. And if you've watched my channel long enough, you know I'm also an autograph collector. My autograph collection is much more focused than my card collection. Of course, I'd have a much better card collection if I didn't collect autographs, and I'd have a much better autograph collection if I didn't collect cards. But I have a balance for both in my collection. And I used to do TTM a lot through the mail. And that's something I've really slowed down doing recently, mostly because I don't have the time like I used to. But when I learned that Brooks Robinson signed through the mail, I sent him a letter and pretty much wrote him everything I've told you. And I sent him this swell card. I don't like to send in player error cards if I don't have multiples. And of course, I sent the fee that Brooks requested, which was criminally cheap for who he was. Maybe it was $10. I can't really remember. And he sent back the swell card, autographed, and he added 2 Hall of Fame postcards. One is right there that he autographed the front, and then he gave me another one that has a clean front, but he autographed the back. And I just thought that was really cool. He didn't respond or anything. I wasn't asking him to. I just kind of wanted to let him know what he meant to me. And maybe he does that for everyone. I don't know, but I just thought it was really stand up of him to include 2 extra things. But with my autographs, my main focus though with baseball autographs are signed baseballs. And Brooks Robinson was going to be at the 2019 National. So I could have easily saved my money and sent the ball through the mail like I did that swell card. But I had to meet him. And I don't really remember the circumstances, but I was last in line to get his autograph, which was great because you get to talk a little bit. My son was 3 years old at the time, and he was with me. And there wasn't a ton that stood out from my interaction with him, except that he was absolutely genuine and a gentleman. We chatted for a little bit, and he was really nice to my son, and they spoke to each other, kind of like how you'd imagine an 82-year-old and a 3-year-old would. But afterwards, I thanked him, I shook his hand, and I turned around to walk away. I heard something that made me turn around, and I see Joe Montana, and he came up to Brooks, and I hear Brooks say, "Joe, how the hell are you?" And Montana gave him a huge hug, and they sat down and started to talk. I thought that was really cool, and kind of showed me how great Brooks Robinson was. His last season was in 1977. Montana's rookie year was in 79. Their careers didn't intersect. They didn't play the same sport. And, of course, professional athletes, they know each other. But Joe Montana made it a point to walk over and say hi to Brooks Robinson. In my mind, I think that's really cool. His death kind of hit me harder than some of the others, and I'm happy I was able to share some of these memories. It made me realize why his death hit me harder than others. It's remarkable what kind of an impact someone can have on someone's life that they didn't know, whether big or small. It's also a great reminder to be nice and genuine to everyone, because who knows the impact we have on others. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your collection.